Hello there, welcome to the channel. My name is James, and here at 20th and 21st Movies, we are about all things cinema. Well, today I'm going to share with you my thoughts on this new 4K release from Vinegar Syndrome. This is my very first Vinegar Syndrome title, and it is the Amityville Horror on 4K. This is the 1979 film directed by Stuart Rosenberg, starring James Brolin, Rod Steiger, and Margot Kidder, and it is one of the all-time horror cult classics. It is a film that I had not seen in a number of years, but it's a film that I'm very excited to have revisited on this new Vinegar Syndrome 4K disc. So I just want to tell you what I think about this movie, what I think about the picture quality and the special features, and whether or not this is a title that you should pick up. But before I get into all of that, I do a lot of Criterion Collection content on this channel. Of course, a lot of Kino Lorber as well as Arrow video content. We love talking all things cinema on this channel. So if you are interested in Criterion Collection reviews, Kino Lorber reviews, reviews of other labels such as this Vinegar Syndrome title, if you love all things cinema, definitely consider subscribing to this channel and clicking the bell notification so that you can be aware of new content when it comes out on this channel. Next month, November, is the Criterion Collection sale. I have a ton of Criterion Collection reviews, so you'll definitely want to review those reviews and just consider what titles you want to pick up for the upcoming sale. There's a ton of reviews on this channel that can help you make those decisions. But today, we're talking about this Vinegar Syndrome title, the Amityville Horror, one of the classic all-time horror films. This is a film that I had not seen in a long time. And so I was very happy to revisit this, on this new 4K disc. So I had never bought any Vinegar Syndrome releases before. For the most part, those titles don't particularly speak to me in terms of the films. I'm just being honest. But when the Amityville Horror was announced, my interest was definitely piqued, and I said, you know what? I'm gonna finally jump into the Vinegar Syndrome pond. Now, I did an unboxing of this recently, so go check out the unboxing. But in this video, I'm just gonna talk about what I think about this movie and the picture quality and the special features. So let's jump right into it. As far as this movie, it's based on a true story that happened, I believe, in the early 1970s, where a young man kills his whole family, his mother, his father. He shoots his mother and father and his siblings in their house. And the motives for it, I don't believe, have ever been really fully uncovered. And so a year later, and so this movie is based on that true story. And in the movie, you see that happening at the very beginning of the film. And then a year later, the Lutzes, headed by James Brolin and Margot Kidder, they're recently married. Of course, James Brolin marries Margot Kidder's character, who has 3 children. So they become a blended family, so to speak. And they are moving into this house that a year earlier, these murders occurred. And of course, as you can imagine, because of these murders that occurred in this house, the house is haunted, and you see the haunting effects and what that has, and the effects that that has on this family as it progresses throughout the film, in terms of the hauntings of the children, the hauntings of these parents, particularly how it affects James Brolin's character throughout the course of the movie. It is definitely fascinating to watch, and it is a very creepy movie in terms of the slow burn of this haunting terror as it builds throughout the course of the movie. You also see the effect of these hauntings on this Catholic priest, played by Rod Steiger, who also played in the Heat of the Night. So you'll definitely want to check that movie out. So it's available on Criterion and on 4K by Kino Lorber. So I still haven't watched my 4K of In the Heat of the Night yet. I need to check that out. I've got to watch that eventually. But in this movie here, he's terrific as the priest. And this film is just an amazing, beautiful, slow build of a horror film. There's not a whole lot of big action that takes place in this movie, but it's just a creepy movie that takes its time building the suspense and building the tension of uncovering the origins of the horrors that are unraveled in this house. And so the horrors don't just begin with the murders that took place a year before, they actually begin before that. And that's part of the mystery that is uncovered in this amazing film. One of the big aspects of this film that brings that creep and that and that sense of uneasiness as you're watching it is that incredible score. And the composer of this film is Lalo Schifrin. And there's a couple of special features on the discs here that talk about the music that was composed for this movie, because the music that was composed for the Amityville Horror is a big part of what identifies this movie. It's that once you hear that song, once you hear it, it is something that will stick with you probably the rest of your life. And for me as a child, just hearing that music just almost gave me nightmares. Okay, it is that haunting of a score, and that's why there's a couple of special features on this set talking about it. Haunted melodies, the devil in the music. It's just some amazing work from Lalo Schifrin. So the music is a big part of this movie, and it's just it's not the type of movie that is going to just make you jump out of your seat, so to speak. It's not that type of a scary movie, but it's a very haunting movie that definitely is disturbing, is the best way I can describe it. It's a very disturbing, haunting kind of movie. It's not huge on the jump scares. It's not going to make you uneasy. Now, as far as the video quality and the audio quality on this 4K Ultra HD disc, I will tell you right now that from a video standpoint, this is right there along the lines of so many of these 1980s-esque films that have recently been released on 4K Ultra HD that have been restored. These horror titles from the 1980s or so, such as Lost Boys, Poltergeist, Fright Night, which I recently reviewed on this channel. Now the Amityville Horror. Just a wonderful set of horror films from that period, from that age, that have been recently restored, cleaned up beautifully, and put on 4K discs. And in each case, they have been absolute home runs. Fright Night looks absolutely amazing on that Sony 4K disc, and Vinegar Syndrome has absolutely delivered with this transfer. This transfer is beautiful. It is clean. There's so much beautiful detail in the image. They maintain that organic look from that late 1970s to the early 1980s period. It's just crystal clear, looks super clean, and it looks like it could have been shot in the last 20 years versus being a 43-year-old film. Now, you don't get Dolby Vision on this, you get HDR10, but it's perfectly fine. I mean, the colors don't pop, if you would, but the colors are just beautifully natural and rich on the level of color saturation that's intended for this film. And it's just a beautiful picture all the way around. I mean, the detail is just everywhere. It's a tack sharp image for the most part, and it just looks cleaned up, beautifully restored, looks, beautifully organic, and there's just a nice level of depth and clarity to the image. It's not a flat looking image, but it's an image that has depth and clarity to it, and it just feels like alive and immediate and right there in front of you. And that's exactly what you want from a good restoration versus a flat, muddy looking image that breaks down upon close inspection. In this case, you are just literally soaking in like a visual feast for the eyes how nice this movie looks on 4K Ultra HD. I was very, very happy with it. As far as the sound, you're getting a DTS HD Master Audio 5.1, and the sound to me was perfectly fine. I've got a 7.1 system, and the 5.1 DTS HD Master Audio sounded perfectly fine on my system. Was very pleased with it. But the star of this presentation in my mind is the video presentation for Amityville Horror. It looks fantastic. The special features on this are also very nice. I mean, a couple of things that I'll bring to your attention are you do get a couple of making of features. You get a nice interview with James Brolin called Brolin Thunder, which I thought was very, very informative. You get those two features with Lalo Schifrin, Haunted Melodies, and The Devil in the Music, that talk about the score of this film. The haunting score of the Amityville Horror is part of the identity of this movie, and so you learn a lot more about that. And then of course you hear about Lalo Schifrin, how he was influenced heavily by jazz and bebop, something I would never have even thought of, but it sort of made me think about movies such as Round Midnight and other films that have similar influences. Of course, Lalo Schifrin was partially influenced by that. And yeah, so you get some really nice special features on here. The presentation looks good, it sounds good, and overall, this is a very nice looking package from Vinegar Syndrome. So if you'll look there, you can see the special features. Hopefully that is focusing. But yeah, I mean, just a nice overall addition from Vinegar Syndrome that I'm very happy with. You get one 4K Ultra HD disc and you get a Blu-ray disc. The Blu-ray disc has the film as well and the features. So that's very nice. And of course you get this nice slip cover here that I definitely appreciated. On the inside, and I showed this in my unboxing, you also get a sticker and you get a Vinegar Syndrome card, which is interesting. So overall, this is a release that is an easy recommend. I mean, the Amityville Horror, if you're a fan of this movie, you're gonna be absolutely pleased with the presentation. You're gonna be pleased with how nice this film looks. This film looks so nice on 4K Ultra HD. That's really all I can really say. It just looks amazing. And I have just been through the moon excited to see these vintage films be beautifully restored on 4K Ultra HD and look as nice as they do, whether it's the Amityville Horror, Fright Night, Poltergeist, The Lost Boys. Folks, this is a great time to be a collector for titles such as this. This is the Amityville Horror from Vinegar Syndrome, and it comes highly, highly recommended. But let me know in the comment section below, what do you think of this movie? What do you think of the Amityville Horror? Do you have this edition from Vinegar Syndrome? If so, what do you think about it? And let me know of any other films that star James Brolin, Margot Kidder, or Rod Steiger. Let me know of other films from, that these stars appear in that you like as well, or some of your favorite films that these stars appear in. Let me know that in the comment section below. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time with the movies. 31 Days of Horror rocks on. Peace.